Welcome to Salento with Love. I'm Davide Mengoli, and also welcome to Salve Salento. Whoever is watching this video, episode 3, is probably been following the developments that Jen and Dan have been posting on their own YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the channel of Jen and Dan. They're trying to build up as well their followers, and they are lovely, amazing people to have here on the ground in Salento. But what's been happening with this property? You know, we've gone from an habitable environment into an extraordinary disaster, into something that it's really taken shape to be a very beautiful and comfortable environment. So, did you enjoy episode 2? So much happening, so much drilling, so much chasing, electrics, plumbing, and everything else that went on with it. So let's see the developments of episode 3 and also how this property, it's really taking shape. Eccoci. Gigi, buongiorno. Buongiorno. We got the main man, Gigi, here on site. And a very important part of this job is now to straighten all the edges, which is also closing all the chasing and everything. So this is the stage where all the things that run inside the walls, the arteries of what makes the house run properly, disappear. They go behind the plaster and they disappear into nothing, making and leaving a smooth surface. But when it comes to the edges of the doors, it's very important to do this aspect or this part of the process before anything else happens, because obviously measuring for doors and windows, underfloor heating or anything that happens rotates around getting all the opening or all the doors and the opening exactly right. So if you want to make sure that things work fine all the way through, even through the stages of electrical or plumbing going in, getting the people that are fitting your kitchen in the property to discuss with the electricians or with the plumbers where things are going. It then allows for things to be exactly in the right spot. You know, you don't want cables to run in one direction or another direction behind the kitchen. You want things to be in the right spot. So planning, again, it's one of those very important aspects. So this morning we are with a kitchen expert here, and is discussing it with the electricians. So I'm not going to disturb them. But you can tell how important, although the house looks like a wreck, but how important this stage is to make sure that things are in the right spot. So I'll let them get on with it. So I just stepped on site. Plumbers have left, but they're just out to come back, and so episode 4 will be an amazing episode, as good as episode 1, 2 and 3. But plumbers are coming back on episode 4. In episode 3 we've seen the electricians coming through and doing an incredible amount of mess. We've seen the plumbers before the electricians coming in and doing an incredible amount of mess. And really, I've saved you from the mess that the plasterers have created. So you can imagine all that chasing that was done by the plumbers and the electricians is now being sealed. So we can finally, apart from the dirt and the debris on the ground, which they will disappear soon, and I'll tell you why at the end of this video. Oh, the walls are starting to look into shape. Obviously, this is the first coat of plaster, which is what they call the black plaster, followed by the white plaster, which is a fine screed that gets put all over and then sanded down, preparing really the surface for the paint. But let's have a look really what's been done here. Yeah, in doing these opening and demolishing, yeah, it was pretty rough, and also sometimes the concrete sticks out from the pouring of the concrete when they make the new joist, and so it's really the artist or the art of a plasterer to make sure that he can merge it and bringing it all together. And as we're stepping inside here, I love to see how that, which it looked really broken, is now taking a wonderful shape. I'm going to share with you actually the door or the frame that has been chosen because it's a very, very clever design that it's invisible. So from the outside, you get to see just the glass. It looks absolutely stunning. So I'll share that with you, and you can probably use it wherever you're doing your refurbishment. Well, I always say when it comes to the finishing, when it comes to things that are exposed to the outside, you really need to allow the building to dictate what's good for the building. So yes, keeping in mind design, yes, keeping in mind practicality, but also allow the building. And when it came to this particular project, I thought, well, we are not really with balconies on the street that people wander around. We don't really have that cast iron look. So I thought, well, having a wooden door or window here is not really necessary from an aesthetic and bringing that element of history. So what about an aluminium frame? For Salento, for these kind of temperatures that we have, you really want to make sure that first of all you have a taglio termico, which is a thermal cut frame. So let's have a look at this. And can you see this recess? Well, I'll explain in a second, but first of all, look at this. This is the taglio termico frame, which allows really for the temperatures or for the cold to be stopped in between, and really to give you the maximum level of, well, of what you can actually have as rating. I think is absolutely fantastic. Look at this frame with all the different gaskets there that are actually stopping everything from coming through, and also from water from coming through. I think it's fantastic. But also look at the cavity where the glass is going to be fitting. Look at the thickness of that. Do you know what that means? Well, that means that you're going to have a very good cavity between the two layers of glass. A cavity, it's always a very important part, you know, the gap that you have. So what type of glass is going to go here? So first of all, it's going to be stratificato. So what it means is that it's actually got a sheet of plastic between two pieces of glass. So you'll have a 3mm glass, a sheet of glass, a sheet of plastic, another 3mm. Then you have a 16mm gap. And then you'll have again a 3mm glass, a sheet of plastic, and a 3mm glass. So that's a stratificato glass. So it means that it's also a security glass, which is important, especially if you're on the first floor. You don't want anybody falling through. So the glass may break, but it sticks together. Also, that 16mm gap that you have in between there is filled with argon gas, which allows really the rays of the sun not to penetrate, and also allows the cold to be stopped rather than going through. So if you touch the glass, it should be a little cooler in the summer, and it should be a little warmer in the winter. That allows really for the heat produced inside the house to stay within the house, and the heat that is outside to stay outside. So very important when you are thinking of doors and windows to think of trasmittanza, to think of the transmission, and to think also of energy saving. Sometimes people think, oh, solar, they think of this, they think of that, but really doors and windows are one of the main areas where a lot of the heat gets lost and a lot of the heat comes through. So you really want to invest a little more when it comes to your doors and windows. Now, design is also very important. Well, first of all, this is an extremely contemporary look when it comes to the design. But this gap all the way around, why was this made for? I'll show you. Let me turn the camera around. It's the window, first of all. There we are. So, now the window is closed. And this is exactly what you're going to see from inside the property. The question is, what do you see from outside the property? Well, do you know what? What you see from outside the property is absolutely nothing. You only see the glass. So the frame at the bottom, obviously you'll see, but you'll hardly see the frame at the bottom. But all the way around the edges, you see the glass. Isn't that incredible? So I did quite a lot of research when it came to choosing a particular type of frame that I was happy, that still gave me that element of being contemporary, but at the same time having the thermal cut and at the same time being in line with an historic building. So you really have to make sure that you bring all these elements together. So isn't this incredible? So if you are outside now and you are looking at this window, all you see really is the glass. Yes, at the bottom you've got to have the frame because you've got the little places where the water gets discharged. But all the way around, when this one is fitted, yes, you may want to choose to have a few millimeters of the frame showing, just like I'm demonstrating over there. But then really from here onwards, you just got the glass. This is very unusual because this is normally how a frame that you'll see in every other house looks like. So a frame normally gets mounted like that, and you see the whole entire frame all the way around. Now, what's the advantage of this? Well, first of all, design. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? And also, from a practical point of view, the amount of light that you are getting. Well, if you multiply this, it's 5 centimeter, actually 7 centimeter frame. So even if you have a 1 centimeter sticking out, it's 6. 6 plus 6, 6 at the top. So that's 6, 6, 6. That's 18 centimeters of light. You know, that's almost 7 inches of light that you are gaining by using this profile, this invisible profile. But from a design point of view, well, I can say it's aesthetically beautiful. All the material that is being delivered, ready for the next phase, which you will see a total transformation of the property, because clean on the wall, clean on the floor, underfloor screeding, and almost ready for tiling. But look at this. We have the pipework here. This is where the hot water runs through. We have all the systems to go onto the floor where the pipework gets attached to. We have the bits that need to go all the way around to work as a barrier for the heat not to be dispersed and going upstairs. So I think we're almost ready. And when it comes really underfloor heating, you really want to make sure that you bring a company on board that you can trust and that they do the work to the top spec and fully certified as well at the end of it. So I love this company because they use the materials from the same company of the heat pump, the same company of the pipework, the same company for everything. So they have a complete thing which they can guarantee and certify at the end, which is very, very important. We are ready. In episode 4, you'll see the development and also the technicality of putting an underfloor heating together. Until then, I would say thank you very much for following the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet to Salve Salento and Jennifer and Dennis, I would say find it, link it's below, subscribe to their channel, give them a big support. You know, they're a big change of life. They moved from the United States. They're now in this beautiful place called Salento in a beautiful town called Galatina, and they're having a fantastic time. They cycle all the time. In fact, perhaps you should join them and go on a cycle tour with them. That's a fantastic idea. Until then, subscribe to Salento with Love channel. Contact me if you think, yeah, I may be interested in doing something down there as well. Press the little bell. And until the next episode comes out, stay safe wherever you are.